Fur is the most controversial skin in fashion. Over the last few years, some brands have stopped using fur following pressure campaigns, but many are still using it.
Sustainability has definitely become a catchword in the fashion industry, and there is a lot of greenwashing. It's becoming kind of upsetting in a way because there are so many people doing good works, but the ones who have the most money and the deepest marketing pockets are the ones that are blasting that they're doing good works, when in fact, they're not always doing good works.
Do you care about sustainability?
According to the fur industry, faux fur is unsustainable, chemical and plastic-based, and leaks microplastics into the oceans. Meanwhile, the industry positions animal fur as sustainable, biodegradable, and natural.
Not an artificial chemical material. Real fur is a sustainable resource produced by farms or from a renewable surplus that can be harvested from the wild.
One thing that the fur and leather industry has done really effectively in the last several years is take a debate around what happens to animals used for materials and turn it into a debate about plastic.
The main communication strategy for this multi-billion-dollar industry is to present itself as green. The website furisgreen.com is copyrighted by Fur Council of Canada. Truth About Fur is representing the interest of the North American fur industry and the International Fur Federation. And behind sustainablefur.com, we find Fur Europe, an interest group who spent €500,000 lobbying the European Union in 2019. To understand more, I meet with the CEO of Fur Europe.
The fur industry in Europe, we have about 4,000 farms. That is mink, fox, chinchilla and fin raccoon farms. We produce around 30 million mink skins and fox skins, yeah. My role as CEO is to take care of the interests of my members, to make sure that we promote fur positively, especially in a political context. Natural fur is a 100% natural product and it biodegrades, especially compared to the plastic fur, which pollutes the oceans, pollutes our nature. But also compared to that, the active life of our product is longer than you can see in any other product.
Can we get a little more in the environmental impact?
I cannot give you the figures of what we have exactly of impact now, but we are in the process of getting a full picture.
In reality, based on a study funded by the fur industry itself, only about 25% of a fur pelt biodegrades. And compared with synthetic faux fur, animal fur produces 7.5 times more emissions. On top of that, to prevent pelts from rotting, animal fur is processed using chemicals like formaldehyde and heavy metals.
There have also been studies on human health in association with wearing fur. And in Italy, garments that were intended for babies and children with fur trim showed that these dangerous carcinogenic chemicals were rubbing off on people. And this is an industry that wants us to believe that it's sustainable and natural.
The microplastic argument also doesn't stand. Faux fur doesn't get washed often, and certainly not in machines. It's starting to look a lot like the fur industry is using sustainability as a distraction.
I don't think we can talk about ethical fashion without talking about animals. To me, it's about a value system. It's about how we treat the planet, how we treat people, and animals are part of that conversation.
Is it acceptable to kill animals for fashion?
That is a very big question.
It's very well regulated, the pelting or the killing of the fur animals. It's something that is based on science. One of the big advantages of our sector is that we actually do not transport for slaughterhouses. We do not transport our animals for killing. So when the animal is killed, it's taken right out of its natural environment and put into either for the mink, it's put into a box with gas, or for the fox, it's with electricity. You kill it like that. So it's very humane. It's just outside its environment. It doesn't get stressed. It doesn't get panicked or have a long transport cramped with other animals in an animal transport.
Wait a minute.
And put into it's put into a box with gas, or for the fox, it's with electricity. You kill it like that.
This motion refers to the standard killing method on fur farms approved by Fur Europe. The electric current passes through a fox once one of the electrodes has been inserted in the fox's rectum and one electrode into the mouth, and the farmer pushes an on-off switch. And this is the fur industry's definition of humane.
Another reason they do this is because they need to preserve the fur. So if they were to kill the animals using, say, more conventional methods, that will destroy the quality of the fur because it'll become stained with the blood. And because these methods are so rudimentary and crude, what's been documented several times is that animals are actually skinned alive on fur farms. It's a form of moral insanity that we justify this behavior in any kind of way.
I've not experienced one person that came to a fur farm saying, I don't accept this. I have experienced many people going to a fur farm saying, whoa, is this really what's going on? There are all these pictures and myths about what is going on, but when you actually see it, it's an animal production. The animals are well, they are curious, they are lively. It's just an experience to go and see it. So that would always be my answer.
The RSPCA, which is Britain's leading animal welfare organisation, conducted a survey which showed, I think, just over 85% of the UK public would not actively choose to wear fur. However, what we see is an increasing number of people wearing items such as, hats with pom-poms or key rings with pom-poms or coats with fur trims. They're aware that actually people don't want to buy these items anymore and they're undesirable. And so they've tried to sneak fur back into the marketplace by making it very subtle and very hidden. It's not only therefore something that's immoral towards the animals, but actually immoral towards the people who buy these products, because if they knew the cruelty behind it and they'd seen what happened to these animals, they wouldn't want to purchase it.
Over 100 million animals are killed every year on fur factory farms where everything is planned from birth. Babies are born in spring and grow confined in narrow cages. When winter comes and when their fur is fully grown, the animals are then killed and skinned. Some animals are kept for breeding for the next year in a never-ending cycle of birth, cage, and death. To make one fur coat, it takes up to 300 chinchillas, 60 mink, or 15 to 40 foxes. Fur farms exist in European countries, Russia, US, and Canada, but the biggest fur producer in the world is China. I lived in China for 10 years. Here, I am always reminded of the unstoppable pressure of consumerism. The country is ruled by a communist party, but almost everything obeys capitalist laws. With the ever-increasing purchasing power of the Chinese population, the fashion market here is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And the fur industry in China is worth $61 billion, way more than the rest of the world. To fully grasp the scale, I get my hands on a report by Act Asia, a charity educating the public on the fur industry practices.
中国在国际上呢，其实现在是最大的生产国。最大的这个消费国，同时也是最大的制造加工国。在整个的国际市场上呢，在这个拍卖市场里面，中国的买家都是非常具有它的分量的。
One of the major centers for the skin trade is just 1 hour outside of Shanghai. In department stores, entire floors are dedicated to fur for domestic and international sale. Posing as a buyer, I get offered wholesale price for all kinds of fur coats in several shops.
我们其实呢都不应该忽略中国在皮草产业跟它的国际交易上的一个角色，它其实是跟国际有非常紧密的一个关系。其实越大的养殖场呢，很多呢常常是有国际的投入的，比如说在大连的一个很大的养殖场，它已经有高达到5万多只的这个貂，它的繁殖种类呢都是从丹麦他们进口进来，从技术上、设备上呢都是从国外直接引进。 所以呢，我们在谈整个的皮草的养殖跟产业的时候，其实已经是一个非常跟国际的连接的一个紧密的概念。
In this shop, I find wolf fur from the US, even though some wolf populations are endangered.
Original wolf.
This is wolf, this is pig. 里面你知道吗？全都是毛，对，全都是毛。
There's fur for any budget. For $1.50, you can buy a rabbit keyring made of real rabbit fur. In the back alleys behind the malls, I find raw pelts sold by the dozens at about $40 a pelt.
这些是国产。国产。
刚刚你在外面放的那个是黄毫。
嗯哼。
这是进口的美洲毫。里面毫子、玻璃水貂都有的。
所以很多人他在买这些产品的时候呢，是无意识的，甚至有20%的人不知道啊，原来我买的皮草里面是含有动物的成分存在的，是皮草动物。
是芬兰还是？
那个是芬兰。
芬兰。
对。
那这个皮草动物有可能是来自猫狗，也有可能它是来自野生动物。
都有区别还是？
一张跟它都养的这个吧，一张跟一样，它都不一样，跟人一样，长得都不一样的，它不是说这个同一个，它就是都是大型犬，这都是差不多，就是。
你看，你说这个是野生，那你怎么买？有关系？
你不你就是那便宜啊，230了，他说我200吧，200。
These are wild caught, and it's a protected species.
这一条条拔上，有的拔一看
，100有几条
？30条以上。
你看到的那些在市场上一条一条的这个皮挂在墙上，放在地上，这些都是活生生的生命。
After Haining, I can't stop thinking about the animals. Back in Shanghai, a local activist shows me where all these pelts are coming from.
当我们在谈很多动物的议题的时候，常常你会觉得从一支视频，或是说从报道，或是从文字上去认知，一直到你自己到前线、到农场上或市场上去看到这些动物它们的苦痛，是没有办法以文字来去形容，它给你一个很大的真实感。
Shangli is the biggest raw fur market in China, so basically in the world. And it specializes in foxes and raccoons as well. And this is just like 300 of them here. This is just one backyard farm out of, I don't know, hundreds in the areas, probably thousands. We talk about these big numbers. We talk about 100 million, 120 million animals killed for fur every single year, year after year. But ultimately what it is, it's 100 million times one individual. I used to have a fur coat. It was a blue fox fur coat that I had. I didn't care. I felt like, oh, they're already dead, so I might as well wear it. And I didn't understand that because I was buying it, then they were living this life. And they were killed for me. I didn't understand that. Yeah, I know. He makes the same noise as my dog. When my dog is upset, or like he feels like there's someone at the door, he would make that kind of noise.
当我看到皮草动物被屠宰、取皮，整个的过程里面呢，其实伤心跟自己的难过是无法去叙述的。常常呢，在很多天之后，甚至很多年之后，这些影像呢，都不断会浮现。
When I think about the animals, those individuals who are sitting confined in small wire cages, who evolved for millions of years to run and explore and swim and play, and they are spending their entire lives confined to a small space. When I think about the anguish and the horror that they experience, it makes me wonder, what's it going to take for us to be able to move beyond this?